Hello, hello, and welcome to today's episode of Saddest Night Out. My name is Roy, and I am the host of this daily podcast, and it's primarily about music and creative culture in London. It's also about the live shows that I am playing. I'm playing 2 shows this month. I make music as loads of Japanese bands, and my next show is on Tuesday, the 17th of September at Road Trip and the Workshop on Old Street. That is part of my monthly show, Saddest Night Out Live, where I put on some of the talent I've found through the podcast. And on this next show, there'll be music from myself, loads of Japanese bands, as well as Lou and Chris Gabriel. And my next show after that is on Sunday, the 22nd of September, and that's at Paper Dress Vintage in Hackney, and I will be playing in support of Its Own Animal, who is releasing their new album, Ammonite. So there will be music from Juliet and Nanette, myself as loads of Japanese bands, and Delilah Black, as well as Its Own Animal headlining. If you go to facebook.com/saddest night out, you can find more details there, and I would really appreciate your support at these shows because I'm trying to make them as big as I possibly can. This is the test to see who actually listens to this podcast and who wants to come and check out what it is I do in real life. So facebook.com/saddest night out for more details. As for today's episode, we have 2 firsts. The first is the venue. I am having this conversation outside of the city of Quebec, which is our open mic venue on Tuesdays. If you go to ukopenmic.com, you can see all of the different venues where I help to run open mics. And our guest is making their first appearance on the podcast. Her name is Angelica. She is from the group Angie and the Practical Cats. And hers is an inspiring journey from where she was living and working in Hungary to pursuing her musical ambitions here in London. And I will let her be the one to tell the story because it's captivating. It has everything. It has highs, it has lows, it has successes, it has characters you want to root for. Just keep listening and trust me, you will be every bit as enamored with her as I am. So this is me talking to Angie from Angie and the Practical Cats outside of city of Quebec. Enjoy this chat and I'll catch up with you more afterwards. I am at a new venue for recording an episode of the podcast. I'm outside the city of Quebec, our Tuesday night venue for open mics, and I'm with a new guest of the podcast as well. Can you kindly introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yes, hi, my name is Angelica.
Angelica, what came first, making music or living in London?
Living in London, I think, but I came to London to make music.
Okay, so where did you come to London from?
Well, the short story is that I'm half Russian, half Hungarian. Mm-hmm. I grew up between these 2 countries and I came from Hungary. And I kind of used to do music. So when I was a kid, I did classical piano and then, you do all your choir singing and, school singing in front of school. I did a musical club singing musicals. I did classical singing as well. And I never really thought that I could do anything, more than that with it. I never thought about it seriously because obviously, there is no way you can make money as an artist. We know all that social pressure.
Of course, yeah.
So I became a language teacher, an English teacher. I was teaching English and I was working in an office later. And then one day I just thought, you know what? I just don't want to do this till the rest of my life. I'm more scared of being in this box for the rest of my life than actually trying to do something. So I packed my stuff up. I moved to London. Obviously got, a pub job, as you do. And later on I got an office job and it became all very comfortable. And then again I had to kick myself. I had been in London for about 3 years by then. And I suddenly just left my office job and I thought the best way to start, because I was already past my 30s, is to study music. To become a professional, so to say, and to feel like a professional. It's not about, you don't have to study to become a professional, but you have to feel like you're one.
Yeah.
And for me, this was basically, I decided to do a bachelor degree. Mm-hmm. And I went to University of West London first, I did a year there. I didn't like it. It was a pop performance course that I didn't feel like this is what I need. I needed more something that helps me with my own music and helps me develop my own voice and find my own voice. So I transferred to ICMP, which is in Kilburn, and I did a creative musicianship degree there that I just finished.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, within these 3 years, I basically picked up the piano again that I hadn't played for 20 years or so. I have a band, so I started to write my own songs, which is something I've never done before. So everything happened very quickly. I'm very new to the scene. It is hard because I'm a bit older than most people when they start out, and I don't feel that I can afford to make as many mistakes as you do when you're younger. But I have a really lovely band, and I think that their support means a lot as well. And their artistic input means a lot as well, because I do listen to what they have to say, so I want it to be a collaborative kind of thing. It's my art, so at the end of the day, whatever I decide, but I do. More people have more influences and more to say, basically. So
you basically just gave me the storyline for like an Oscar-worthy movie right there. I was living this 9-to-5 life, didn't want to.
It's the wine.
That's incredible. No matter what, that right there, that's an incredible achievement you've made. There's a lot of people I've spoken to on this podcast who've had a similar background of, I didn't want to be stuck doing this, I'm going to come to London, see what I can do. But you came here, you studied music, you've got a band together. I understand you've been playing shows as well. So you had an itch that needed scratching.
Yes.
Has it lived up to expectations? Better, worse, highs, lows? How's it been? Now that you're doing it, how does it feel?
That saying that the easier way is sometimes the harder way. So it's really hard to decide which one is the easy and which one is the hard way as well. So would it have been easier to stay at a comfortable job where I know where the paycheck is coming from every month? And it could have been easier to some extent, but it could have been obviously harder on myself and on my soul. It is a very bumpy ride. I'm almost 37, and suddenly I'm like a teenager. People don't want to rent their flats to me because I don't have a proper what is considered socially a proper job. Because how is it that 37 you're suddenly a student that you don't have a but I think in the long run it is gonna be the right way to do it, and I don't regret it at all. It's very hard. It's still better than if you believe in reincarnation, and I don't know, you might think I'll do it in my next life, but that's not the case, because even if it's true, you won't remember it in your next life.
You've only got this life to live.
No matter if it's true or not, you only have this life to live. And I actually have 2 questions I usually ask people, and one of them is, what would you do if it wasn't for your excuses, for money, for whatever other issues you have? And the second one, if it turned out that the world ends in a year, what would you be doing? And I thought that if I knew that the world ends in a year, I would be furious with myself that I spend it in a box in an office doing things that I don't want to do, making money for someone I don't want to make money for, and I'd rather just not make money for anyone than even if it's me who's not getting it. As a teacher, I obviously I can teach music, I can still teach languages, so that's what I do, and it's working, but I'm much more relaxed, I'm happier. I hope it will pay off.
Me too. We've discussed the epic climb to get to here. So what's happening next? What's around the corner for you and your band? Are you performing, writing, recording, all of the above?
Yes, so another thing that's happening in my life now is that I actually will start my master's degree in a few weeks, but it's going to be in creative writing and publishing, which is another thing that I've always been interested in, writing, and I didn't have the confidence to do that because English is not my first language, so I thought it's going to be hard. So I think this gave me the confidence to do 2 things, and doing music gave me the confidence to do writing as well. So what I'm planning to do is, while I'm working on my writing, I would like for my band to. We have a new drummer, so we're gonna be. We're going to the rehearsal room now for a month at least, and all we're gonna do is practice some songs, practice some new songs as well that I've written since. I write my songs with my boyfriend John Breyer. I have to mention him because he helps me a lot, and without him I wouldn't be able to finish anything. And I think we're gonna just basically, we're trying to find our own voice. We still haven't found. So the songs I've written are very, very versatile. They come from different backgrounds and from different influences, which is okay. But I obviously try to find the voice and the style that we're going to represent. And this is what we're going to be working on. And obviously the first album is what we're I don't really think I will have a demo, or what they call those. EP, that's the one, So I think if I do something, it's going to be a thematic, it's going to be a theme, and it's going to be an album, and this is what we're trying to work for the next year towards. I hope so.
It's amazing. So, last two questions. What is the name of the band, and where can we find you online?
So the name is Angie and the Practical Cats. Angie, like the Rolling Stones song. And the Practical Cats, just because people always ask, so I'll tell it. And it comes from a T.S. Eliot poem that is for children. He wrote it for his godchildren, and it's a book of poems, and it's called Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And it's very funny and very entertaining and very lovely. I wanted a name that has something to do with literature, but not very well known, not very obvious. And this is what we came up with, and we thought this was going to be just a temporary name that we can use for a while, but I think it kind of stuck with us, and it's going to stay. You can find us on Facebook, just type in Angie and the Practical Cats. We're on Instagram as well. We have a SoundCloud profile, and hopefully soon we're going to be up on the Spotify as well.
Well, from tomorrow you will be for this episode right here.
Yay!
And I'll put Angie and the Practical Cats in the name as well. So people search, they will find this introduction. Angie, thank you so much for your time. And I keep chasing your dreams, darn it. Yes, you can. Thank you very much. And that was that. Thank you so much, Angelica, for talking to me. She was a little bit nervous, understandably, about how the conversation would go, but I think we can all agree that it could not have gone any better. All I had to do was just open the door, and she had the story to tell. I am just happy I could be the one who could share that story with my audience. That Bart from Hungary and Russia left her office job because she knew in her heart of hearts this is what she really wanted to do. That already is worthy of all of my respect, because that's such a difficult decision to make and to really commit to. A lot of people like the idea of making music, but when faced with the reality of what it takes to do it, there are, I think, far more people who decide to quit at that point than there are people who choose to stay the course and see it through. And Angelica is definitely the latter. I will put links to where you can find more from Angie and the Practical Cats in the links for this episode. And yes, Angie, as promised, I will put the name of your band in the title of this episode so that if people search for you on Spotify, you shall appear. Until, of course, your own recordings are available on Spotify. And I'm sure anyone who's listening to this will soon become an eager fan, looking forward to finding out more about what it is she does next. I had a really good time at City of Quebec. It was my first time going to that show. I got to see Angie perform twice, and there was quite a few people at that show. I think I mentioned on Monday when I went to Ban Bao Brothers, the people that were there. At City of Quebec, Unique Technique was there, and Ant was there. Ant is the host, so those were two past guests, and Juliet and Annette were there. So 3 previous guests from the podcast were all at this open mic, as well as quite a few people who will hopefully be future guests on the podcast. And I actually had some new fans approach me. So I wasn't intending to play, but Ant, the gentleman that he is, insisted that I play. So I did a couple of songs, and then I was the final performer for... I was the final performer for the night as well. And I had a few people approach me. One asked if I had a CD, and I don't. They asked if I had a website, and I don't. And can you tell I'm saying this through gritted teeth? Because I've got some work to do. But I was very flattered. I have always with me flyers for the show on Sunday, 22nd of September with Its Own Animal. Gary, aka Its Own Animal, gave us all some flyers to hand out, so I had some of those to hand. And I ended up writing on the back where you can find me on Facebook. So that was my makeshift business card. And I really got to get to work on making a business card and a website, etc. So that next time, touch wood, if there is a next time when that happens, I can let people know where to find me, and my course for world domination can continue. But that's enough from me for now. Thank you all very much for listening. Once again, 2 shows coming up in the near future. Tuesday, 17th of September at Road Trip and the Workshop on Old Street, and Sunday, 22nd of September at Paper Dress Vintage in Hackney. Go to facebook.com/Saddest Night Out and then click on events to see more details about both of those shows, which are both free to come to. And I would really, 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 really appreciate your support if you can make it. Otherwise, that's all from me. Thank you again to Angelica. Thank you to Angie and the Practical Cats. Thank you to all of you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.